welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's show, it's our monthly conversation with Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law. We have a couple of interesting court proceedings that you might find interesting. We'll also have features from the Kansas Soybean Commission, Kansas Department of Agriculture, as well as Kansas Grain Sorghum, and the weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association, and market information from Pinion, a division of K-Coe Isom. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com. In agricultural news, farm real estate debt at commercial banks grew modestly in the first quarter, while production loans remaining steady. The Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank says alongside soaring farmland values, real estate loan balances increased in the fastest pace in 4 years, drove an increase in the overall amount of agricultural lending. Following a sharp pullback over the last 2 years, non-real estate lending was stable from a year ago. Farm loan performance also continued to improve, but performance at agricultural banks remaining limited by compressing net interest margins and a glut of liquidity. The farm economy remaining strong alongside a decade-high commodity prices that continues to support farm finances. Many producers have benefited immensely from the strong cash balances, but credit needs may rise as higher input costs weigh on profit margins. Farm lending accelerated in recent months alongside an increase in the size of those operating loans, and many bankers expect loan demand to continue climbing. USDA releasing details of the Emergency Relief Program for 2020 and 2021, formerly known as WIP Plus. For impacting producers, existing federal crop insurance and non-crop disaster assistance program data is the basis for calculating those initial payments. USDA estimates that phase one of the ERP benefits will reach more than 220,000 producers who received indemnities from losses covered by federal crop insurance, and more than 4,000 producers who obtained the NAP coverage for 2020 and 2021 crop losses. And the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration extending the hours of service emergency declaration for livestock haulers through August 31st of this year. The exemption and amendment of the emergency declaration provides regulatory relief for commercial motor vehicle operations, providing direct assistance in support of emergency relief efforts that were related to COVID. It's limited, though, to transportation of livestock and livestock feed and other supplies related to the COVID-19 shortages. Transporters of feed ingredients, though, are ineligible for that exemption. Stay with us. Dr. Roger McEowen in just a moment.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers, farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas corn, with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And joining us now is Dr. Roger McEowen, who is at Washburn School of Law. He is an ag and tax law specialist. Dr. McEowen, always good to catch up with you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
All right. You picked another couple of topics to go over that one is probably happening a lot more common than what we think. This first one, you have some heirs that inherit some ground, and say it is in a portion of the state that it is irrigated, and just kind of take us through those steps of what happens if you have several parties now inheriting this ground and someone out, and I guess, is equitable the right word to use?
Yeah, this is a situation that I've talked about for many years that we try to steer people away from when we're moving from one generation to the next, the passage of farmland and a farming operation to that subsequent generation. And often what we want to stay away from is having the children, that second generation, own the farmland in co-equal undivided interest. That's usually not a good thing to do, because maybe not all of them want to farm. Maybe some of them have spouses that aren't interested in being involved with a farming operation. And so there's a friction that's created. And what typically tends to happen is that somebody's going to file a partition action and separate out the interest and say, well, I want this parcel here instead of an undivided interest in the whole thing. And that's what happened in this recent case that came from the Marshall County area. And what happened was parent died, land ends up going to three brothers, three children, and one of those brothers died. And so now it's his spouse. So you've got two brothers and their sister-in-law. Well, the sister-in-law wants out. She doesn't want to own this farmland, these multiple tracts, with her brothers-in-law in co-equal undivided ownership interest. So she files a partition action in the local county district court. Well, that brings up the issue of valuation. You've got to value the interest, because if she gets a tract that's not worth as much as what each of the other brothers gets, then there's going to have to be cash that she's going to get also. Well, what had happened before the parent died, one of the brothers was farming with dad, and he had talked to dad about converting some of this dry land to irrigation. And he did that after dad died, spent $83,000 to put a 10 tower system in, got a water permit from the state. And so once you do that, yeah, you got the sunk cost, but then it also increases the value of the land itself, because now it's more productive. It's not just dry land, it's irrigated. And so there were commissioners that were appointed by the court to come up with valuation, and they basically just valued the irrigation equipment itself. She didn't contribute to any of that cost. She didn't contribute to the cost and the work of getting a water permit. And the appellate court said, no, that's not the right way to do this. The irrigation equipment itself is one thing, but the fact that the land is now irrigable means that it's worth more overall. And so she's entitled to a portion of that greater value. But again, I come back to where I started, Ken, on this, is when we leave property in co-equal undivided ownership interest to multiple children, it almost always ends up in a partition action. One child, or in this instance, sister-in-law, suing other members of the family. And it's just, we want to stay away from that.
So really the best idea is to maybe talk to your attorney and make sure everybody has a full understanding of what that might be.
Yeah, often we put farmland or farming operation in an entity. So the land itself is owned by entity interest, in shares, LLC interest. And so we're not dealing with interest in the real estate itself. We're dealing with valuation of interest in the entity. And that's a better approach.
Talking with Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law. We'll come back with more in just a moment. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com. And our guest is Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law. It is our monthly talk with him about kind of ag in the courtroom. And Dr. McEowen, we've got another one that I kind of remember this one, but goes back to the grand champion lamb stripped of a title at the state fair. And maybe there was some people that, were punished that maybe shouldn't have been.
Well, this was the 2016 Kansas State Fair, and boy, is there funny business that goes on in livestock showing? Who would have thought? But nevertheless, yes, you're right. There was a lamb that was crowned the grand champion. The exhibitor received a $4,000 cash prize plus the fancy belt buckle that comes along with that. Well, interestingly enough, before the fair was over, the lamb was sent to slaughter, and then a veterinarian examined it, and the vet said, well, I found some injection points on both hind legs, and the skin was reddish. And long story short, that was deemed to be by the fair board an unethical fitting, which is the definition in their rules. And the exhibitor was stripped of the title and the money had to be paid back to the state fair, and it stays in the kitty there at the state fair. And she appealed that. The exhibitor, this young gal, appealed that. And just recently, last month, the Kansas Court of Appeals said that she had been reinstated. And I skipped a step there. She had gone through the appeals process itself with 2 committees at the state fair. And then the trial court said, well, the information that the vet came up with and provided wasn't really sufficient for the board to conclude the way they did. And so the trial court reinstated the title. But the appellate court took it back away, reversing the trial court in just last month, and said that based on state law vests this type of decision making in the state fair board, not a veterinarian, but in the state fair board. And their rules were properly adopted, and their rules said, well, you can't change the contour or the conformity of the animal. And what was done here did so in violation of the state fair rules. So she was stripped of the title officially, pending appeal to the Supreme Court. And it's still too early as we record this to know whether that's going to happen or not. I kind of doubt it. But the unethical fitting rules and these types of things that go on in livestock showing is not uncommon. But this one was spotted. And the key point on this one is the appellate court said, no, it's not up to a veterinarian. It's up to the state fair board to make that decision based on the findings that come back to them.
Well, Dr. McEowen, if folks want to learn more about these things we've talked about and others, you blog about all these different cases. So how can they find that?
That's through my website, washburnlaw.edu/Walter, WALTR. And on the homepage on the left side, you can scroll down and find my blog. It's part of the Law Professors Blog Network. And these things and lots of other things are contained there on that blog.
All right. Well, again, appreciate the update, and we'll see what you come up with for next month's conversation. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law has joined us. We'll have more in just a moment.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers, farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Soybeans are emerging out of the ground, but that means troublesome weeds, diseases, and pests are popping up as well. The Take Action Pesticide Resistance Management Education Platform from the United Soybean Board exists to equip producers with the best tools to combat issues in the field. Those tools, housed at iwilltakeaction.com, help to identify fungicides and herbicides within the same mode of action, give you management insights for specific weeds and pests, and provide other principles of management. Check out and utilize the video series, fact sheets, and classification posters that fit within your management needs. To drive the point about resistance management home, Take Action Pest Week happens annually in June. This year, the event takes place June 13th through 17th. To celebrate its 10th anniversary, the program is bringing a Pest Week live webinar to you. Tune in at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, June 16th, to hear from farmers and experts around the country as they battle weeds, diseases, and insects. Participants could win a Husky mobile workbench or other prizes. Registration for this event can be found at iwilltakeaction.com. If you want to give your crops a competitive advantage against pests and diseases and fight the growing resistance to herbicide technology, be sure to check out Take Action, brought to you by the Soybean Checkoff.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers, farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Last week, we joined Governor Laura Kelly at McCarty Family Farms Dairy in Thomas County to sign the proclamation which officially declared June to be Kansas Dairy Month. We're excited by the growth that we've seen in the Kansas dairy industry, which has doubled the size of the cow herd and nearly quadrupled the milk production in the last 3 decades. Kansas is home to nearly 170,000 dairy cows, and the dairy industry contributes about $1.4 billion to the Kansas economy. We know that growth looks different in different parts of the state, from the smaller and mid-sized dairies in the eastern side of the state, doing on-farm processing and selling locally, to the larger dairies in the western half that work with cooperatives or directly with processors. All of these types of dairies and processors, both large and small, have an important role to play in the growth of Kansas dairy. Much of the growth in dairy production in recent decades can be traced to innovation in the industry, as dairy operations have learned to improve efficiency and increase production through genetics, nutrition, and technology. Future growth of the dairy industry will mean even more economic gains for local communities and the state of Kansas, and more wholesome, safe, nutritious dairy products for families in Kansas and across the nation. So this month, we are especially highlighting our 200-plus family-run dairy farms and everyone who works there every day to provide milk and milk products for the people of Kansas. Dairy life is a 24/7, 365 commitment by Kansas dairy farmers who are dedicated to the health, comfort, and well-being of their cows, and to providing high-quality dairy products, which are an important part of a nutritious diet. So join us and enjoy Kansas milk, cheese, yogurt, and ice cream as we celebrate the important contributions of the Kansas dairy industry during Kansas Dairy Month this June.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Hello, my name is Melissa Hildebrand Reed, and I'm Operations Manager of Hildebrand Farms Dairy. And today I want to touch a little bit about sustainability. And I'm coming to you here in our pasture. These are my milking girls. We allow them to go out to pasture and to take a break from the building if they so need to. I will say that we caught them on a good day. So when it's nice, sunny, and the weather is perfect like it is today, you're gonna catch them out here taking a break in the sun, soaking up the vitamin D that they can push through in that milk. But we also have great facilities, and those facilities are huge because just like trying to get kids out on a really hot or cold day, they like to be indoors. They like their sand for bedding. They have individual beds. They also like their feed bunk that's plentiful of feed 24/7, as well as continuous water source. So for us, when we think of sustainability, we think of three parts, and that's environmental, creating our farm to last for the future, and also our girls and making sure that they're healthy and well. And a big part of that, being on a dairy farm, is making sure that we stick to a strict schedule with milking, and that we also make sure and take care of their needs, because as a milking cow, they are very much athletes in their own right, and they need great feed, great water source, and they have to be milked twice a day. So as we think to the future and we're constantly thinking about how we can grow as a farm, it's with them in mind and very much with a focus on taking care of the cows. I have a great team of employees that help make that happen, and I think they're pretty happy as a result.
To learn more about sustainability on the farm, visit KansasLivingMagazine.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
The Beef Improvement Federation recognized Rezac Land and Livestock of Onega as Commercial Producer of the Year during the group's annual convention, June 1st through the 3rd in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The ranch, founded by Don and Barbara Rezac, is a diversified operation on the northern edge of the Flint Hills. In 1986, their son Jay and his wife Stacy, and Jay's older brother Lance and his wife Deborah formed a partnership. Since that time, the operation has grown substantially and today includes 6 partners: Jay and Lance, Jay's sons Russell and Matthew, and Lance's children Nicole and Garrett. The family operation includes a Simmental and Angus-based cow herd, feed yard, stocker and backgrounding business, and farming enterprise. The cows graze year-round on native grass, stalks, and cover crops. The Rezacs have carefully drafted a plan to make the ranch's commercial cow herd financially viable and a producer of quality females and calves that perform well in the feed yard and on the rail. This plan includes an intensive breeding program and careful use of natural resources. Over the years, great strides have been made in improving conception rates and increasing pasture performance. These improvements are a result of a willingness to embrace new technology and a commitment to enhancing the sustainability of the ranch. More than 200 beef producers, academia, and industry stakeholders were in attendance at the meeting. To learn more about BIF, go to beefimprovement.org.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the soybean checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Good day. I'm Derek Hermish with Pinion. When it comes to planning for retirement, no client is the same. Young folks are generally advised to be more aggressive and open to short-term risk and stock market exposure, while older individuals are encouraged to pull back on the more aggressive and risky investments. The same can be said for farmers and their risk management. A young farmer who is highly leveraged may need a little less risk exposure versus a more seasoned producer who has some years of equity built up. Then compare that to the farmer that is irrigated or getting rain versus not getting it. No two situations are exactly the same. The grain markets will be volatile this year, and with that they will provide ample opportunities to make it a great year for most producers if the weather cooperates. That same volatility will also provide some frustrations if viewed through the wrong lens. A certain amount of self-reflection after a series of decisions has been made is a healthy habit in order to decipher what you could have done better or what you did right and what led to it. What is not healthy is second-guessing the decisions you have made, especially if you are holding yourself to a standard that you cannot reasonably adhere to based on your situation. I'm Derek Hermish. Have a good day.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us at kansasagreport.net or our social media channels. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the soybean checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Are you looking for Medicare supplement insurance plans? Now is a good time to look at your options with Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans. A Medicare supplement insurance plan can help cover certain out-of-pocket expenses Medicare doesn't cover. Things like deductibles, co-insurance, and certain limitations that can be costly in the event of an accident or illness. With Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans, you have options to Medicare supplement insurance plans with 4 levels of affordable coverage and service from an organization known for its commitment serving Kansans. We encourage you to compare our rates. For more information and to get a quote, contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you or visit kfbhealthplans.com. Medicare supplements insured by Members Health Insurance Company, Columbia, Tennessee. Not connected with or endorsed by the U.S. or state government.